of the finger, a cut on the hand. These seemingly minor injuries, they have much more serious consequences, as I have learned very well over the past 3 weeks. Flexor tendon lacerations are very serious and complicated, and that is why it is important to know about them. I will begin by telling you more in depth about the causes, the surgery, the recovery process, and finally some possible complications. Allow me to first give you a very, very brief overview of how the hands work and how the tendons work. Well, these white lines right along here, those are the tendons, and they connect to the tip of the finger and a forearm muscle. And anytime you contract your hand, they pull on the tendons, and they run through a tendon sheath right in there, and that maintains it gliding smoothly through the hand. Some possible causes. According to David Nelson, the most common cause, by the way, David Nelson, he's a consultant for the FDA Orthopedic and Rehabilitation Advisory Panel. The most common cause is a deep cut to the palmar finger. And pretty much what's happening in this situation is you're directly cutting the tendon by, if you slip with a knife, that kind of thing. And another very common cause is jersey finger, and that's really common in football, rugby, and wrestling. And what's happening in this case is you're trying to grab somebody, tackle them, something like that, and your finger gets caught in their jersey, and your hand's gripped, and then they pull away really quickly, and that sudden motion causes the tendon to rip. Another cause is a side effect of rheumatoid arthritis, and what happens in this case is sudden rupturing. The only option to regain motion is surgery. The reason for this is because the tendon's completely torn. It has no way of reconnecting, and when the tendon tears, it contracts all the way back into the palm, maybe even the wrist, so it's not like it can really heal itself. So the surgery process. First, an incision is made on the palm, and they have to find the tendon, and then another incision is made on the finger, and they pull up the tendon through the tendon sheath by sticking a tube down your finger. It's not as horrible as it sounds, but then they pull it back up through the finger and reconnect it. And then the tendon's reconnected using sutures. This is a diagram of the sutures. And pretty much what sutures are, they're pretty much like staples. One's connected to each side of the tendon, and then eventually scar tissue grows around that and reconnects the tendon itself. And following surgery, one must go through a very intensive rehabilitation process, which is what I'm currently going through. For the first 4 to 6 weeks, they have limited movement. That's the process I'm in right now. And during that, you have to wear casts, such as this. And the reason for this cast, I get a lot of questions about it, is so you can't overextend your fingers. And that's why it has this little bill type thing, because it maintains your wrist in this position. And in this position, the tendons are lax, so you're able to still extend your fingers without re-tearing the tendon, because at first it's very, very easy to do that if you do anything really. After 4 to 6 weeks, you get this removed finally, and then you begin the real recovery process, which is regaining motion and regaining all the muscle that you lost from not being able to move it for over a month. And according to the National Health Service of the United Kingdom, full recovery from this injury may take up to 3 months. And there are many, many possible complications from this injury. First off, it's very easy to tear the tendon again during the recovery process, because if you move any of your fingers trying to grip anything, that motion pulls on the tendon, and pretty much, especially within probably the first 2 weeks, it's really easy to tear it again doing that. Eventually you can start doing a little more, but you're not supposed to after the 6 weeks. You can also do this by moving the fingers too far, too quickly, and that's why they have this cast again, because it makes doing that much less easy. Another possible complication, and the reason that the workouts are so necessary, is because if you don't do them, the scar tissue that reconnects the tendon will cause it to stick to the tendon sheath, which the tendons glide through, and that will make it impossible to move your fingers anyway, so you'll require another surgery if that happens. Another problem is this injury is very time sensitive. If you don't catch it within 2 to 3 weeks, surgery may not be possible, because Because the tendon loses its elasticity after 2 to 3 weeks. It's like a rubber band, and it dries out, and it's impossible to pull it back out. And another problem is the longer you wait, the further it contracts into the hand. So it's impossible to find because it could go all the way up into the forearm. I've shown the possible causes of a flexor tendon laceration along with the surgery necessary to repair it and the intensive recovery process following surgery. The medical field is ever evolving, and there are constantly new methods of surgery being implemented. So hopefully one day, this injury will be remedied using a much simpler method.